Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Wednesday, September 4th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Western Michigan game in 3 days, the game against Michigan in 87 days. Get a chance on Tuesday to talk to some of the Buckeye coaches, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly. Going to get to hear from both of those guys on this show today. We're going to start with Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. He wanted to get his thoughts on how the first game against Akron went. Yeah, they won 52-6, but how did it really go once they graded the film? This answer, a good reminder that this season is not just start-finish. This is going to be a little bit of a process.
After the game, we celebrated the champions, the guys who graded out. And, there were guys who did. And so those guys got to continue to enhance as the challenges get bigger. And then there were guys who weren't. And, when that happens, you got to identify what it was that, didn't allow you to become a champion. Why didn't you grade out? Was it, somewhere in your process, it's feedback on how your week went, whether it was the preparation, whether it was the meetings, the walkthrough, the practice, where you were in terms of understanding the game, being in the moment, not getting caught up in the moment. There's a lot of things to identify what it was. And now in week 2, the guys who didn't, have to make those adjustments and grow. The effort, across the board was solid. We got a long way to go here, and we want to keep pushing. And there certainly were some great clips. I think you guys saw some of that on Saturday, but we're nowhere where we need to be. We got to keep building. It's a long season, and so we'll get back to work today.
There are a lot of new pieces of college football this year. One of those is the new helmet radios. So how did that first week of in-helmet communication go for the Buckeyes?
It's different. You can see a lot more teams are huddling in week 1, which I thought would be the case. It was good, but there's still an element of the no huddle that everyone's using. So there's a kind of a hybrid, I think, of some people using it and some people still signaling and doing those things based on who you're playing. But I think it's a great thing for college football, and we're all adapting. I thought it went well in week 1.
If you're watching our post-game show, and why wouldn't you be? Right, you may have heard Ryan Day talk after the game about metrics that they need to hit for the college football playoff. This is really the first time we've heard him talk about that. So what is he looking for there? What is he talking about there? And is that different this year than it was last?
When you look at, what, the CFP looks at in terms of your ranking now, I think every little bit is going to matter. So whether you're, a top 4 team or 5, 6, 7, or 8. You want to do everything you can to put yourself in best position possible moving forward. So, there's things that come into play there. And so there's going to be a lot more discussion, I think, around, 1 through 12 than maybe there was 1 through 4 when there was, only 4 teams that made it. Now, when you're talking about 1 through 12, there's a lot more conversation. And I think, certainly we, control our own destiny in terms of, every game that we play, and we're going to do that. But I just want to make sure that guys know that when they're going in towards the end of the game, like every rep matters. Why? Well, here's an example of why. And so that's the way we're going to approach every game.
One of the big topics online during and after the game was the blocking, the run blocking, especially for the Buckeyes. Now that Ryan Day has gotten a chance to go back and watch the film and look at the blocking, how did that all look, and were the blocks on the perimeter really an issue?
Yeah, it definitely plays into it. There was good snaps. There was some plays that we got to the perimeter. We didn't quite make that guy miss a couple times, and there was some other times where there was one in particular into the boundary. We pulled around. We didn't quite identify the backer that we had. There was a handful of things there. So yeah, we're looking to be more explosive, and everybody's got to own it. Everyone's got to be a part of it. There were some good things as the game went on, but got to see more improvement in week 2.
This season is a new era of special teams for the Buckeyes. They no longer have a dedicated special teams coordinator, but now that responsibility is being spread between a number of different people. And you're starting to see some early results, including on the punt return team. They made some big plays on returns on Saturday, and some punts fielded that may have saved some yardage as well. So what has Ryan Day seen from Brandon Ennis and the punt return team early on this year?
Yeah, we worked hard in this offseason on special teams. I think I shared with you that each of the coaches now own it, and Rob Keys is overseeing it, and I'm a big part of it on a daily basis now. And one of the studies that we did was, every time the ball hits the ground on a turf field, there's, an average of like 10 yards a roll there. So, we want to make sure that we're aggressive in fielding those punts. At the same time, we can't be foolish, because some of those punts, you put yourself at risk of a fumble. So the first thing we got to do is get the ball back. That's number one. Second thing we're trying to do is field it. Again, especially on a turf field when that ball can really roll. You've seen some really poor punts just kind of take off on the turf. And so we tried to eliminate those. We think that those are, well, Brandon Ennis's example, a couple of those on Saturday. In particular, the one that he returned, it was rolling down probably inside the 10-yard line. He stopped it and then returned it back. That was probably 3 or 4 first downs on offense. It's a big deal. So we're trying to educate our guys. We're also going to be sound to make sure that we get the ball back and win the turnover battle.
Saturday was a relatively quiet day on the stat sheet for the tight ends, but you still saw their impact in the run game and other places. So how would Ryan Day assess the play of those tight ends? You're going to hear that answer, and then a quick follow-up from buddy Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com.
Yeah, I thought they, as a group, blocked well, and I think we had two champions there, and there's going to be more production coming out of the room moving forward, but they did a nice job, and so now we got to keep building on that as well. Couple really good effort clips. In particular, Will Kazmarek on one play, blocked his man about 7 yards downfield and pancaked him. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that type of intensity, that type of finish. And, they're going to be very much involved in the pass game as well.
Jelani continuing to just...
Yeah, that was a big day for Jelani. He needs to just play and play through, some of his inexperience. There's going to be mistakes made. There was the penalty that we had where he wasn't on the ball. And there's a couple of things we have to play through. But I think it was good for him to get that game under his belt. There's a lot of potential there. And the more he plays, the better off he's going to be.
One of the fun things about these early season games where the Buckeyes might be out in front into a pretty big lead is you get a chance to see some of the younger guys you maybe haven't seen so much in previous games. One of those guys against Akron was Arvell Reese. The linebacker had a really solid performance overall. So where is he fitting in right now with the linebackers?
Well, the way that Arvell played, he deserves more reps, but I think it has to do with his preparation. And there was a moment last week where his preparation was just okay, and then there was a point in the week where he really dug in and did a really good job with his preparation. I think Jim and James would tell you the same thing, and I think that allowed him to play fast. So. That's a big part of playing linebacker. There's just a lot that comes with it. I review their tips and their test every week, and there's a lot in that packet. So he had to prepare at a high level, and once you do that, then the game can slow down for you. And so if he continues to do that, you see the athletic ability. and the strain. That's what I like the most. Some of those reps that he had. He's going as hard as he possibly can from point A to point B, and we can build on that. Any coach in America would love to have somebody like that. So. If he keeps going like that and keeps with his preparation, then he's going to keep building.
And in addition to the helmet communication, there was something new happening with the Ohio State offense on Saturday. That was, number one, Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator right now. And number two, Chip Kelly's up in the box. That's a new thing for Chip Kelly. How did Ryan Day think that whole thing went on Saturday?
Again, Chip had his mindset on what he wanted to get done in this game. And it was a start, long way to go. But no, overall, calls came in quickly, and I thought overall that part was good. We still want to be clean across the board. I think we can be cleaner across the board. A couple little penalties here and there that we got to clean up. But, and again, still same thing, efficiency. I think we can get in and out of huddle faster. We can get just sharper in everything that we're doing. But just in terms of the operation of calling a game and all that, it was clean in week one.
And it's a smooth transition from that question to one that I was really interested to ask Chip Kelly on Tuesday. We hear all about the helmet communication piece of this game and how it's all different this year, but we haven't actually heard anyone break down what is that like? Who is saying what, when? When does the helmet communication start? We know it cuts off at 15 seconds, but when does that start? And how much are they communicating? Who is saying what? When are they being quiet? How does that all go? What is going on inside the speaker in Will Howard's helmet?
Well, you have from when the previous play ended till up to 15 seconds on the play clock. So But you're not talking for that entire time. You're making decisions on what are we now? We're 2nd and 5. Where's the ball? It's on the left hash. What play are we going to call? And then we're trying to get that information to Will as quick as possible so he can digest it. If we're huddling, and we huddled a few times on Saturday, then he needs to communicate that to our guys. If it's a signal system, we make sure we tell everybody that we're using a signal on this play. Then Will has an opportunity to maybe survey the defense a little bit longer and get a chance to see that. Then there could be a check within that call. So the play could have come in as 1 play, 2 plays, or 3 plays. There's some 3-play sets that come in, and then Will has to make a decision at the line of scrimmage, what's the best play for us, and get us into that right play. So and it's not a conversation because he can't talk back. But we try to be as brief as possible so that he gets as much information as he can, and then he can operate. We didn't do any check with me's where we were making checks from the box, and he was just listening and waiting for us. That didn't occur. We have some plays in our system where we'll give him 2 or 3 plays at a time, and then he selects what the best play is. And in all of our checks, I think he did a really good job of that. But really, it's just giving him that information, so it's really not a conversation, and then letting him go operate with it. And then we talk extensively between series of, what did you see here? Why did you go to that? And with the video, you can kind of confirm that he saw what he saw and understands why he called what he called.
Thought that was a really interesting answer from Chip Kelly. One of those things that just feels like, oh, how did no one ask about that before? But it is kind of an interesting little piece of minutia going on around the college football season this year. And we're going to be covering all of the minutia and all the bigger stuff too this year at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Got our whole team, Kevin, Tony, and I covering the team. Got Mark covering recruiting. Just had his all-day Tuesday chat on our board yesterday. Got our whole team of X's and O's gurus. They've had a very busy and interesting thread on the board about some of their takeaways from the first game. We're going to try and get some X's and O's content for you here on this show a little later on this week. That is all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Get access to our whole team of insiders, the Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We would love to see you there. We would also love to see you at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Make sure you are subscribed there as well. Hit that bell to get notified. We do lots of live content for you throughout the week, and of course before and after the game as well. Lots of content there, all at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle and BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.